This is a Commodore VIC-20. It was manufactured in 1982, and it's sat in storage for the past 16 years. Today, we're bringing it back to life. So we'll begin our restoration by taking a look at the motherboard. After that, we'll take a look at the case and keyboard and do some cleaning and perhaps retrobrighting if needed. Then it will be the power supply. This machine came with a two-pronged 9-volt AC adapter, but we'll be using a DC power supply instead. Next would be the AV cable. And finally, the restoration of the Wico the Boss joystick. Here's the VIC-20's motherboard. Clean and in great shape. The capacitors look good, so I'm keeping them. I want this machine as original as possible for as long as I can. Just a little bit of dusting and cleanup, and applying deoxit using a brush applicator onto the connectors. I prefer it as opposed to the spray which gets all over the place. And finally, applying a heatsink to the VIC chip, which gets a bit toasty and might lead to some issues. So now it's time to put the keyboard back together. Unfortunately, I don't have a video of the process of me cleaning the keyboard, since this whole video is actually an impromptu thing I did while I was working on a blog post about the restoration. Now, if you want to read that blog post, the link is in the description below. For now, enjoy the reassembly of the keyboard. Next, it was time to clean the case. The case itself was in fairly good shape, although it had some yellow discoloration. However, after cleaning it with some detergent and water, and then later on with Windex and a bit of elbow grease, the discoloration is gone, I would say. So it looks really good, and I'm very pleased with the results, and I don't think I'll be retrobrighting this case. It's always a good idea to test the machine every now and then while working on it to make sure everything is working fine. I reattached the motherboard shield. And the shield on top of the video section as well. All we have to do now is screw back the keyboard into the top part of the case. Now it's time to reassemble the case back together. Quick wipe. This thing looks great. Since this is an early model VIC-20, it has the two-pronged power connector that takes in 9-volt AC. Now, the power supply that came with this machine is a simple transformer from 110-volt to 9-volt AC. However, since I live in a 220-volt region, I require to use a step-down converter in order to use that original power supply. Now, I decided not to do that and just use a DC power supply. That's right, you can use a DC power supply with this machine. The only disadvantage is that 9-volt AC will not be available on the user port, and that is used by some peripherals such as the modem. However, since I won't be using a modem, that's not a problem. Since 9-volt AC rectifies to about 12.7 volt DC, a 12-volt 3-amp supply works fine for the VIC-20. I'm using a barrel adapter with a two-prong cable to connect it. Normally, DC is polarized, but here it doesn't matter because the VIC-20's original rectification circuit will work either way. The VIC-20 comes with a 5-pin DIN connection for the audiovisual aspect in terms of video output and audio output. Now, it did come with an RF modulator, but I was not going to use the RF modulator, and I wanted to use composite output. In order to do that, I had to rig up my own cable. So one end of this cable is a 5-pin DIN male connection. The other end is a female DuPont connection. And the DuPont connection plugs into this little TRRS breakout board that I had lying around. And then the TRS breakout port has a jack where you can plug in one of these TRS audiovisual cables, such as this one. And this cable, in turn, breaks out into 3 RCA jacks, 1 for video and 2 for the left and right channels. Now, the VIC-20 is a mono-only machine, so there's only one audio channel. And in the case of this cable, the way it's configured, unfortunately, video is not on the yellow color RCA, but it's rather on the red one. That doesn't matter. So we've got video here, and we've got audio on this RCA. And then what we have to do is just simply plug it into our input device. In this case, I'm using a RetroScaler 2X, which allows us to output it via HDMI to a screen of our choice. So now it's time to restore our Wico the Boss joystick. Unfortunately, just like with the VIC-20, I wasn't planning on making a video at first, so I don't have any footage of me tearing down the joystick, cleaning it, retrobrighting it. However, I do have footage of me reassembling the joystick. Right, so for the joystick, this particular joystick uses leaf switches as opposed to micro switches. There were a few bits of plastic that were snapped off, so I glued these back on. As for the contacts on the leaf switches, I also applied a little bit of deoxit using the brush applicator. As for the PCB itself, I refreshed the solder. Now, as far as the case is concerned, the light gray part, the top part, and the power button white part were quite yellowed, so I did wash them with detergent, then applied hydrogen peroxide 12% cream and some cling film on top of it, and left it in the sun for about 3 to 4 hours. And the results speak for themselves. They look great. I mean, it looks just almost brand new, I'd say. And once it's assembled, a quick test to ensure that it works fine. Well, thanks for watching, and I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you do want to learn more about this machine, I do have a lengthy blog post on it, which you can find the link to in the description. I do apologize again for the haphazard nature of this video. I was not intending on actually making a video at first, hence why I didn't have a lot of footage regarding the teardown and other aspects of the restoration. Perhaps next time, but if you like, and if you want to subscribe, and thanks for watching.